As Spawn stood frozen in time, he pondered the cryptic message of the man of miracles. Was he merely a pawn in a greater cosmic game? Should he restrain himself from engaging in a battle with Zera and Michael, or was there something locked within him waiting to be unleashed? The weight of uncertainty gnawed at him. Amid the stillness, faint whispers began to echo around him, sinister and persistent. "We are ready. Say the word. We are waiting." The voices seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Spawn closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and whispered, "Ready." Time resumed, and with it, the oppressive weight of the confrontation returned. Spawn's piercing gaze locked onto Michael and Zera as he declared, "You have no idea what's about to happen. This is your final warning. Walk away, or you both will die here and now." Michael smirked at the defiance in Spawn's tone, unfazed. Zera, however, erupted into laughter, her bloodlust palpable as her eyes glowed with unrestrained fury. Michael glanced toward her and, in a cold, measured tone, said, "Do as you will." Zera's laughter grew louder as celestial flames ignited around her body. Her form began to distort and expand, the beastly avatar she commanded starting to emerge. Spawn stood his ground, his cape rippling unnaturally in the air around him as shadows danced and swirled ominously. With a voice devoid of hesitation, Spawn muttered under his breath, "So be it." Before the battle could begin, a dark figure emerged in the distance, steadily walking into the tense standoff. The aura of malice around him was unmistakable. It was Lord Mammon, the current ruler of Hell, his presence as unnerving as it was imposing. Mammon chuckled, his voice smooth and mocking as he addressed the scene before him. "Zera is here? My, heaven must truly be desperate," he said, clapping slowly, the sound reverberating ominously. "Well done, Spawn. You've managed to draw the big players to the table. Quite impressive." Michael's expression hardened as his voice carried a deadly undertone. "Do you want to die, demon?" His words were sharp and cutting, brimming with holy authority. Mammon, unfazed, tilted his head with a sly grin. "Oh, Yahweh's little right hand has some bite. But no, I'm not here to die. I'm here to make sure this is a fair fight before things spiral into Armageddon." His grin widened, growing more sinister with every word. Spawn growled, his gaze narrowing as he turned to Mammon. "Don't fucking interfere." Mammon raised his hands in mock surrender, his chuckle low and unbothered. "I promise," he said, his tone dripping with insincerity. "I'm just an observer for now." Zera's bloodlust had reached its peak, her avatar now fully manifested, a massive feral beast radiating celestial fire and pure insanity. Her voice boomed, a guttural mix of laughter and fury. "Enough of this!" Her beastly avatar roared and lunged forward, its massive flaming claws tearing through the air as it charged directly at Spawn, the ground quaking beneath its titanic weight. The battlefield erupted into chaos, with heaven, hell, and Spawn caught in a storm that threatened to consume them all. Spawn moved with uncanny agility, dodging each strike with precision before teleporting behind the avatar's neck. With a swift motion, his serrated chains wrapped around its thick neck, spinning violently like a demonic chainsaw. Sparks and celestial energy erupted as the chains grated against the avatar's unnaturally dense hide. The creature snarled and halted the chains with brute force, gripping them with its massive clawed hand. With terrifying strength, it swung Spawn around like a ragdoll and hurled him over 40 feet into a nearby forest. Spawn crashed through trees, shattering their trunks before hitting the ground with a resounding thud. The avatar did not relent, charging into the forest with relentless determination. As it approached, Spawn extended his hand and invoked a little-known power, his ability to control nature. The surrounding trees groaned as their branches and vines came to life, wrapping around the avatar's limbs and slowing its advance. The beast thrashed against its restraints, celestial fire spilling from its body as it roared in defiance. Using the momentary bind to his advantage, Spawn summoned his sword and aimed for the avatar's left arm. He struck with precision, his blade biting into its thick, otherworldly hide. But despite his effort, The sword only partially penetrated. The avatar's skin was unnaturally resilient. Rather than struggle against the restraints, the avatar opened its mouth and charged its celestial breath, unleashing a torrent of holy flame directly at Spawn. The forest lit up like an inferno as the fire engulfed him completely. Yet Spawn stood unmoving, letting the flame wash over him. To everyone's astonishment, instead of burning him, the flame seemed to dissipate as it touched his body. Spawn suppressed the holy fire, absorbing its energy. A low, ominous growl escaped him as his power surged, visibly growing stronger. Michael's eyes narrowed, and even Zera's confidence wavered for a brief moment. "How is this possible?" Michael murmured, his voice betraying his unease. Unknown to them, Spawn's lineage traced back to Enoch, granting him a divine connection he himself barely understood. This latent bloodline now awakened, allowing him to tap into energies previously inaccessible. Drawing on the absorbed celestial fire, Spawn imbued his sword and chains with a fusion of necroplasmic and divine energy. The blade and links now glowed with an otherworldly brilliance, a volatile mix of hellish and heavenly power. Spawn turned to face the avatar again, his voice carrying an eerie calm. "Let's even the odds." Zera, now visibly agitated, let out a furious shriek as her avatar prepared for another charge, the forest itself trembling under the impending clash of these two unstoppable forces. The beast unleashed a thunderous roar that shook the very ground, charging towards Spawn with unrelenting fury. But as it closed in, Spawn suddenly vanished, leaving no trace of his presence on the battlefield. The avatar slowed, scanning its surroundings with primal instinct, confusion momentarily breaking through its rage. Before it could react, sharp, serrated spikes burst violently from its mouth. Moments later, Spawn's chains erupted from both of the beast's ears, clamping tightly around its massive skull. The avatar thrashed in agony, its claws swiping at the chains to no avail. Unbeknownst to Zera and Michael, Spawn had teleported inside the beast's mouth during its deafening roar. Hidden within, he used his chains to pierce through its skull from the inside, pulling with immense force. The chains tightened like a vice, creating unbearable pressure on the creature's head. With a sickening crack, the avatar's skull caved in, its massive body collapsing to the ground in a heap. As the lifeless beast fell, Spawn teleported once more, reappearing several meters away near Zera and Michael. His tattered cape swirled around him as he smirked, the dim glow of his necroplasmic energy casting eerie shadows on the battlefield. "Clumsy beast," Spawn said mockingly, his tone dripping with disdain while still having blood and brain matter all over him. Zera's face twisted with rage, her bloodlust intensifying. Michael, however, stood firm, his expression unreadable as he processed the unprecedented display of power. The tension in the air grew heavier as the battle threatened to escalate into a catastrophic war of wills. Lord Mammon's laughter echoed across the battlefield. As his laughter subsided, a shadow materialized beside him. It was the Violator, his grotesque form slinking close as he leaned in to whisper into Mammon's ear. "The army is ready and waiting for your command, my lord," the Violator hissed, his voice a sinister rasp. Share, like, comment, and subscribe for part 3.